Welcome to our channel, You Can Be the Change. And in our series, Family and Beyond, we are today talking to a very wonderful person who is a practicing psychologist. Her name is Chavi Bell. She works with a school and she is looking into child psychology. And she agreed to gracefully, kind of come on to our channel, talk about few stuff that we wanted to deep dive on the child psychology and understand what as parents or what we should do to understand much better about the child psychology and how we can deal with the kids more, especially in this age. So thank you so much, Chavi, for agreeing to be on our channel and talking about your expertise with us. If you can just introduce and tell the our listeners about yourself.
I thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful platform to talk about things that we are going to talk about today. I am based out of Surat and I am a psychologist. I work with kids, especially right now. As past 2 years, I've been working with students as I work in a school. So that's what I do. And I love working with kids. I love seeing what they do, how they do. They're growing up. They're changing every year, every day they're learning new things. So I love doing that, and I just love talking about what I do. So yeah.
Oh, great. Then I think we're gonna have a great chat today. Then in that case, Chavi. So since you talked about kids and you're saying that you are in a school where you of course look after kids and see at their psychology. So just trying to understand, as parents and even as looking up to the kids, there are different stages of every kid, right? And every kid's stage needs a different kind of an outlook or kind of an understanding on that age. So if you can just little bit tell about us, like how in different stages of a child, how the psychology changes and how we as people who are not a psychologist should understand that kind of psychology of the kids.
So it's very different for each child, and every child grows at their own pace. That being said, there are different milestones that we can say that they have. But again, that being said, there's no specific, uh, you know, ऐसे ही बच्चे बड़े होते हैं. There is every child is unique and different in their own pace. And I think one thing that we get wrong a lot of time is कि दूसरे बच्चे तो ऐसा कर रहे हैं. That child has been able to do that by this age. Why my child has not been able to do?
Yeah, right.
A lot of times parents come up with these questions, but the kids in his class or her class are doing such things, why my child is not doing? So that's where, because we have fixed frames of milestones that kid can do this or do that by this age, we tend to forget the uniqueness in every child. Some kids, a very common thing we see is one child might start speaking early, the other might start walking early, and that we have accepted. My child started walking early, so might speak a little later in life.
Right.
Such thing is similar for every stage in life. We have cognitive developments, we have physical developments, we have some kids are visual, some kids learn through seeing things, or some kids learn through कि उनको सिखाना पड़ता है.
Right.
So that way, developmentally, every child is very unique to themselves. But again, when you're talking about psychological changes in kids, so I think when kids is in a home environment, the kid feel very safe, and because mummy papa ke saath rehte hain pure time, so it's a very safe space where they're developing in terms of knowing the world, what their world is, and for them their parents or the caregivers are their world at that time. Coming to when they start stepping out, meeting new people, going around, that's where they realize that world is a little more than what they have seen till yet. Their parents are nurturers and caregivers, and this is also very a time where they develop a sense of security, which goes till adulthood also. A lot of schools of psychology have talked about the sense of security that a child feels at this age goes on to knowing that how this person will be secure in the relationships ahead. If they had a secure parenthood, if they have a secure loving household, that will result in how the child or the adult turns up when they grow up. So this age group, which is like till 5 or 6, is such a crucial age where they're developing their personalities, they're developing how they are going to be as an individual. And most of it, as pressurizing as it sounds, because I keep telling that I am not a mother, so I just feel it's so much pressure to raise a child, because then at this age, the way that you're raising a child will bring on to how the child turns as an adult.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing such a good point, right? And especially, Chami, in today's age where it is very competitive, and not just like everything around us is very competitive. Parents get competitive because, like as you said, right? I mean, they might be like, oh, the other kid can do that, then why not my kid?
Right.
So you bringing in a very good point that it's the safe haven for a kid, the household. So if we do not put that kind of a competition or that kind of an pressure on the kid,
Correct.
rather let the kid grow, then he will or he or she will kind of do better, get nurtured better, and then kind of become a better human being. So I think that's a really great point that 5 to 6 years of the age of a kid actually decides how an adult he will turn out or he or she will turn out to be, right?
That being said, also the kids, look at because the parents are, or the caregivers. I mean, I would not want to say parents, but the caregivers, the primary caregivers, are people that a sense of self-esteem also comes from. How my mother looks at me, or how my caregiver is looking at me. In terms of that, fears are also developed from them.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, so it's the flip side as well, right? It's not,
correct.
yeah. Okay. So now talking about that as well, right? I mean, one thing that we hear a lot in the schools and especially with the growing kids is that, um, and it's across, right? There are some kids who you can say a little bit of a bully, or they would be like a little aggressive as compared to the other kids. And there are kids who are not that outspoken, or they feel that there are kids who are kind of bullying them and all. So does that also impact the psychology of the kid, how the school, or after I think home, it's the school where
Right.
the impact on a kid happens the most, right? I mean, along with the teachers and all. So how do you see that? How do you perceive that, in a school, a kid's psychology gets impacted?
As you rightly said, the time after the home, the most amount of time that they are spending is in school, which is I mean, even in like an early year, or a first second grader spends around 6 hours in a school, which is as much as it brings, it teaches you a lot of social skills apart from teaching you the academics. I would put it, at a very second or third place what school is teaching as in terms of academics. It teaches a lot of other stuff in terms of how are you dealing with people socially, how are you, it makes you resilient, it is making you strong, it's giving you perspective on how the world is or how the kids are. So it has a major impact on a child. That being said, again, because after family, it's the school, it's the teacher, it's that the kids look up to. A lot of times the small kids, I mean grade 1 2 or early year kids, they role model their teachers. A lot of times you have seen by the end of the year, a lot of things the kids are doing is what the teacher is doing. So it's so important that there is a right teacher, the school is right, the values are rightly given. And taking, as you asked, how does it impact the psychology, a lot of times I tell the parents what kids are doing is not what they want to do. It's an outcome of what they are feeling. And again, as parents we forget कि मेरे बच्चे ने स्कूल में आके किसी को मार दिया, let's say. I mean, maar diya is so just an outcome of what has happened. It's a very tip of an iceberg. What the child must have been going through. A first grader, उसे कैसे पता कि मुझे गुस्सा आता है तो मुझे मार देना होता.
Right. Yeah.
Kids don't learn this. They have not born out of learning this. तो उन्होंने कहीं देखा है कि किसी को गुस्सा आया, उन्होंने मार दिया. तो मतलब मुझे गुस्सा आया तो मैंने भी मार दिया. That means somewhere we are lacking teaching the kids how to regulate their emotions, and then at the end we are blaming the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you very well said, right? As a kid, I would not know, for this emotion, this is the reaction. It's somewhere
Yes.
for that emotion, the reaction is what we see around us, or we've seen somewhere. I mean, like
Yeah.
what we say today is, and since you're bringing up this point, the social media impact on kids. Like,
Right.
right? I mean, of course, we are also on social media, and this will be
Mm.
also played on our social media. But how, the today's world, how social media is impacting a child's psychology, because it's available everywhere, right? So how do you see that, in today's world, do you think that social is it a curse to have so much of social media for a kid, or is it like it's again channelizing how you see it, social media impact on a kid?
So again, it cannot be like a one answer if it's a curse or a boon, because see, but we have information that we would never have, when there was no social media. If initially we were only given information that we could, so only our surroundings,
Yeah,
only a village that we live in, that's the information we had. And world is not a very, happy place. All the good things are happening in the world, there are a lot of bad things happening in the world.
yeah,
तो पहले मुझे सिर्फ मेरे सराउंडिंग्स में क्या खराब चीज हो रही है, आई वुड नो ओनली दैट.
yeah,
टुडे पूरी दुनिया में कितनी खराब चीज हो रही है, आई नो एवरी बैड थिंग हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. नाउ एज अ चाइल्ड और इवन एज एन अडल्ट, आवर बॉडीज आर नॉट मेड टू take so much of information, so much of negative things happening around the world. Our bodies are made to only understand this is dangerous for me. I'm supposed to know this much.
right,
But now we know everything, which is probably a lot of times unnecessary information, and then our brains cannot handle that. Our we are anxious beings, we are depressed beings, we are, all the time in our fight and flight response because so much of information coming in our brains.
right,
That being said, even kids are, because now a lot of times the studies are on mobile phones, they have a laptop in their hand, and these are smart kids coming from a generation of knowing technology.
right,
So for them also, all the information is available probably a lot before than it should have been.
right,
And developmentally, they are not ready to take that information in.
right, right.
So that does bring to a point where, they don't know now what to do with this information.
Yeah, so much of exposure is
So
what
much of exposure. Now, this exposure can be channelized, of course. I mean, everything has a way of channelizing it.
right.
But how much are we able to do that? And how much is that doable? I mean, that's a question.
Right, right, right. Now, since, yeah, of course, we're talking about all this. Now, the other thing that comes into our mind when we're talking about a child's stage
Yeah.
of growth is that, and we've heard this, we as kids had also um, heard it from our parents or from our generation, earlier generation, is that, when you're a teenager, you become a rebel. Like, it's very difficult to kind of
Yeah.
irrespective of the gender, right? Girls or boys, they have different kind
Yeah.
of things going on. Now, one aspect is the hormonal changes that the kid is dealing with. But are there any psychological changes as well that a child is going through when he or she is getting into the teens? And how a parent, if I'm a parent of a teen, how should I accommodate and make sure that my child is not being left out, or is being heard during that phase? So how do you, like, as a psychologist, if I come to you that I'm dealing with a teenager, help me, how would you suggest that?
So yes, of course, dealing with a teenager is a task. I mean, is difficult also at point. The major reason of it is because, a parent's life or a child life, till a point revolves around each other. The child cannot do anything, without asking the parent or without the help of their parents. Now, teenage is a phase where, they are developing their own personalities, they're developing their own ways of living, their own ideologies, their own opinions. And this is the point where, they feel that now we have information, we have things that we can do ourselves. But the parents probably sometimes are not ready to, let them go, that, now my child is developing their own individuality and they can do things a lot of times without asking me.
Right.
That also being said, a lot of times kids also don't understand that my parents are not अचानक से क्या हो गया अचानक से अभी तक I was doing everything after only when I asked them.
Right.
Now I'm making my own decisions. Now I'm doing things like and also friends start, they become more of a priority to them.
Right.
How they look, how they see each other, what their stand is in the group or in the peer group, all of it is for a teenager also so much of pressure for them कि I have to be known, I have to be a individual now. So they are also navigating through life individually now.
Right.
And a lot of times they cannot say things to their parents. They are things that they, and it's very common for them to कि ये थोड़ी बता सकती हूँ अब, now I have a crush on a boy, ये थोड़ी ना मैं जाके मम्मा को बता सकती हूँ. And parents feel कि अब बच्चे मुझसे छुपा क्यों रहे. So now there is a communication gap that needs to be bridged, and both of the parties needs to understand that now is the time where there might be some things that जो बच्चे आके नहीं बताएंगे, and there might be times where parents might not agree to what we do.
Right.
And how do we find a middle ground to all of it?
Right. So talking about that, right? I mean, it is often said that, parents should be more like friends when of a growing kid, and especially if it is a teenager. So, you become more of a friends to the kid, right? Now, as you said, and you rightly said, right? I mean, there is a gap in the thinking, and but like I live in US here as well, like, it is difficult when it comes to a teenager, because there are a lot of changes that they are going through, and as you rightly said, it is a lot of changes as a parent also that we have to adjust to, that and then of course the kids coming and saying, oh well, you do not know it, we
Yeah.
know better than you, and so dealing with all that stuff as well. So is this right, that saying that become friends of your kids, and if you have to, how do you become friends of your kids?
I think I would little disagree to the fact that become friends to your kids, because I think they have enough friends out there. They have a group that they go to, but they need parents at times. Also, when we say be a parent, why do would have to be only you have to be strict, you have to give them orders? Why can't parents be more of little understanding? I mean, I'm sure parents are understanding, but you don't have to be friends to be understanding. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So you, as parents also, you have to have your boundaries. I mean, you cannot let them do whatever they want to do.
Mhm.
So you have to have certain boundaries as parents also, that these are certain things that are house rules, these are our values, these are certain things that we do our way, and you have to agree to this, and you have to do it, you like it or you don't like it.
Right.
But then there has to be certain areas, I mean a lot of areas where you are letting them be, you giving them space where they can come to you, they can talk to you. And as much as as parents I understand that we would not want to hear something bad happening to our child, but then if we don't give them that space to come and tell about their heartbreaks, about the loose friendships that they have lost over time, about a little things that have happened that might not look big to us, that might look, we have business problems, we have major world crisis, but for them this is their world. For them this is their world crisis, and if we act like itna sa hi to hua, why can't you deal with it, that's when they will stop coming to you, that's when they will stop talking to you, and then one day you will come up and say मेरा बच्चा मुझसे बात नहीं करता है.
Right.
पर वो जब कर रहा था, did you understand those issues like the way you should have, or did you give them enough weightage?
Mhm.
Right? So for them, I don't think parents will have to be friends, but I think the idea of parents being strict and not understanding the kids, that needs to change. And yes, parents can also be somebody you can come and talk to,
Right.
with boundaries and with the set rules that we have.
Right. So have your parental boundaries, in the sense that they should have this feeling that they are my parents. So
Yeah.
I have some of my restrictions here, but I still have the liberty to come and talk to them if I'm going through something. It might be, and as you rightly said, it might be a trivial. The kid might also think, well, they might think it's very trivial issue, but having them giving that kind of an assurance that even if it is For us, it is trivial. If it is major for you, you can come and talk to us about.
Right.
Yeah, very valid point. And I think you rightly said you don't have to be friends for with your kids to kind of for them to come and open up with you. It's more of this understanding has to be built between the parents and the kids. So now changing a little gears here again, coming back to uh, a child and a female child, right? The energies are different. Uh,
Very.
you know, so if you as a psychologist, if you can just kind of give us like ideas how there are things that when you have a female child, these are the things as a parent you should kind of understand, and versus a male child, because of course they're two different kind genders, different energies altogether.
I think till I mean, to a certain point, I don't think there is any different way that you deal with a female child or a male child. I mean, they don't know that there's lot of difference between them apart from the body that we have different. But and I don't think parents should also treat a girl child or a boy child differently till a certain age, because I mean, both the kids will make their own choices, and we are. I mean, even in India now, we are far beyond the point where a girl will have to do a certain thing or a boy will have to do a certain thing. They naturally build a different way where they'll naturally adapt to things that they're supposed to do. That is okay. A boy will definitely be a little more inclined towards sports and all. A girl will, in general, I'm again not saying that girls are not inclined to sports, but in general, they'll be inclined to a little more different games or a different things. But that being said, now schools are also changing and they give equal opportunity to both the gender to pursue whatever they want to.
Right. Right.
Similarly, as parents also, I think till a certain point, you shouldn't be treating both the genders any different than each other. Till there's a point where now girls are starting to hit puberty. They'll hit puberty early than a boy will hit. So that's where the point is where you'll have to, of course, tell the boys also in the family that now the girl is going to hit puberty. Now how different it is for you also and for the girl also. She might be irritable at times, she might have mood swings, she might start getting her periods and all of it. Now when all of that happens, a boy also has to know that these things are happening with a girl in my family. And when we teach safety and how to better manage ourselves to a girl, I still see that क्योंकि वो लगता है कि लड़की को तो सिखाना पड़ेगा, लड़की को नहीं सिखाएंगे तो it will not work because of the biological changes. I think that's where the time you should also start teaching boys about safety, about how to treat a girl well, about how to. A lot of times I feel boys are not taught how different girls are to them.
Right.
So this is the time you teach boys also that girls function little differently, and girls also that boys function little differently, and how can you better communicate with each other. I mean, by the time they are teens, or they start to realize कि जो चीजें लड़कियों को बहुत मैटर करती है लड़कों को इतनी मैटर ही नहीं करती है. And that's where the communication starts coming. They start hating each other. There's a point in development also where girls and boys start hating each other,
Right.
to the where just little before they start liking each other, they start hating each other. So I think in terms of parents treating them differently, I don't think there should be any difference. But in terms of making them understand each other's differences is where parents can jump in and do their job well.
Okay. Oh, valid point, right? I mean, again, and since you hit something that I was about to ask you, is that, in today's age, one, we are seeing that, kids are hitting puberty at an earlier age as compared to, earlier generations. And it could be anything. It could be, people say it's exposure to the social media. Now they know everything. And all that stuff. But then during when the kids are hitting puberty, right? While there is a hormonal changes going on in the body, there are psychological changes also going on.
Correct.
Right? How to maneuver, or how to make that understand that it's okay if your body is going through the changes. It's okay, because again, with boys, it's different. They'll start having showing beard and facial hair and or voice changing and all that. And in girls, it's different, right? Different body changes. So how, as a parent of a kid who's about to hit puberty, how as a parent we should be like, okay, now yes, how to prepare them that now it's okay. There will be body changes. It's okay, and everyone will.
That's a very beautiful thing that you have come up with. I'll just say, I think school plays a major role in doing that, in teaching the kids from an early age. That what happens when you change, what happens when you hit puberty, how do you navigate through that phase of life? Because a lot of times kids are really worried about it. I mean, a lot of times when there is an anonymous form sent to you, what are you worried about? This is one major thing, that how will I change, how will my life look like, what happens when I start getting my periods, will my body change? And to girls also and to boys also, how do we navigate through puberty, what will happen, will my body change, will my voice deepen, how will my beard look like? And so what happens is, a lot of times parents also feel कि हमारे बच्चे हमसे आके बात नहीं, I want to talk to my child about puberty, but they are not talking, they are not comfortable. What do I do? So it's not the time when they are going to hit puberty that you start talking about it. No, they will not be comfortable. Of course, they will not be comfortable. You talk since the time they are born, you start doing that. I mean, since the time they start understanding, name the body parts. Like we teach them hands, legs, eyes, ears. Teach them the genitals. Teach them the other body parts also. Name them properly. Don't give it pet names. Don't call it something else. As the girl or a boy is growing up, keep talking to them about their physical changes. Last year, as we talk, देख तेरी height बढ़ गई है. We parents do, we measure and talk to them about their other body changes. Talk to them about how their genitals are changing. Maybe how next year they will change even more. So when a 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old child is talking to you about it, do you think he will not be comfortable when he's 12 or 13? But if this conversation has not happened, and when the child turns 11, now my child is going to hit puberty, and I'm going to talk about periods, and I'm going to talk about changes in the body. No, the child will not talk to you. You've never given that space to the child, and now you're expecting कि and then this मैं तो space दे रही हूँ ना. I am talking, but my child is not talking. So no, that is not. And again, every child is different. See, again, some kids will be okay about it. Some kids, no matter how much you give them that space, they will not be okay about it. Give them that liberty too, because just let them know that if there is a struggle, if there is something that you are really worried about, please come to me. I will be very happy to help you with that. But if you don't want to talk, then give them that space also, I feel.
Awesome. Okay. I think we can keep going on and on, Chavi.
Yeah.
This is such an interesting topic. And probably, I would like to kind of deep dive with you, maybe in another episode where I would want to talk to you, especially about the teenage kids. And again, the impact of social media on the teenagers today, because, that's the whole world of conversation. And, again, the same thing, like, now with AI coming and all that coming, there's a lots going on in the in the internet world or in the technology world. So would want to understand with you on that as well, and maybe would also want to understand from you that from a teenager to an adult, right? I mean, again, there's a whole big phase that now they can get into the the corporate world, or now they're on their own. So how do we prepare them for the new world, right? So maybe another topic about it, maybe another episode about it. But as like as a psychologist who deals with the kids every day, what are the 4 or 5 or however many points you would want to give to the parents, and also like from through parents to the kids, especially for their mental health and mental well-being?
Okay. I think one thing I would want to parents to know, that your child is different. Your child is an individual. Child is unique in their own capacities, and every child is unique in their own capacities. So please don't compare your. By doing so, what you are doing is आपके बच्चे की जो capacity है, you are ignoring that, and you are trying to fit the child in a box that your child is not meant to fit in. Every child is made for a different box, so please don't try to fit your child in a different box that is not made for seeing what the world is doing. Your child is made to do bigger things in life.
Right.
So that's one major thing, and this will also help your child navigate through his own life and find his own identity without a pressure of being fitting in one box.
Right.
So that's one thing. And other thing is try communicating. I mean, try communication will go a long way. Probably there is different way, just a question like hame lagta hai that I want to help my child, but my child doesn't want to be helped in the way that I want to help my child.
Right.
So both the parties are wanting to do a same thing. I also want your help, my parents also wants to help me, but just not in the way that both of us are wanting to. So just questions like, Achha, but tell me, how do you want to be helped? I'll help you in that way. Just like we say that, loving the person that wants to be loved, love them the way they want to be loved. So similarly, you ask the child that when you are very stressed, what is it that you want me to do? Ask this question. Probably what you're doing is different than what your child is wanting, and it's not helping.
Right.
So ask questions, communicate, especially for teenagers, where they're starting to develop their own opinions.
Right.
Ask them.
Awesome. No, I think great advices, Chavi. And I think I was having a blast talking to you. And as I said, I could have gone on and on, but I think we need another special episode with you on the teenagers. And as you rightly said, about the communication and about, of course, from a teenager to an adult. But thank you so much for gracing our channel. Really enjoyed it. And I hope every listener who listens into this episode get some insights, and also if we are able to help to parents seeking some questions and get the answers through this episode, it will be something that we could give back to the society. So thank you so much again, Chavi, and we will be talking again. And to our listeners, please do listen in and subscribe to our channel, and for any other such great topics, and if you want us to be talking to Chavi any more specific questions on child psychology, please drop in your comments or drop in your questions to us, and we'll make sure that we can ask those questions to Chavi and probably we do an episode with her on those special topics as well. So thank you again, Chavi, and talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Bye.
you.